So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us list off a bunch of things we find oddly satisfying in life. Hope you enjoyed, just learning about some idiosyncrasies that we have, and let us know if you mirror any of those interests that we shared last episode. So now for episode 148 of Eazy Conversations, I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. So what's up, the people?
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great day right now. Very excited for tonight's episode. It kicks off the yearly top 10 at the end of the year for a show that we've been prepping for this all year. So we finally get to reveal our top 10 music albums, hip hop albums, and we always bring the third time now. And Eric, I'll let you introduce him, but I'm super excited to have him here back again.
I believe fourth time, if I'm not mistaken, to be honest. And I
shit.
think it's just automatic now. We don't even have to think about it. It's not, is he coming on? It's when are we doing the pod? And I'm extremely excited, of course, to reintroduce the pod. Fourth time now. Hip Hop Fiend 85, aka Brandon. So what's up, the people?
Glad to be back. It's like you said, it's something we're always working on. I've got my list. It's constantly updated, and it's just something I always look forward to now.
Yeah, no, we're super happy to have you on. First time we've had a guest on in a while, and to kick off our, like Matt said, series of top 10s, there's no better guest to have on than yourself to teach us all a few new albums that we may or may not have heard, and then see how our lists differ from one another and the other. So I'm really excited to get into this with you guys as per usual. Matt and I actually did a mid-year top 5 episode in which we shared our top 5 hip-hop albums around the halfway mark of the year. So I'm curious to see how many of those albums still stuck around on your list. Matt, and I, like you said, Brandon, I know you have a list going all year long. It changes up and down. Do you know could you say if at the halfway mark you had, maybe this is going too far back there, but a lot of these albums at the time that still made it to the end of your list? And also that can also segue to how was making your list for this year compared to other years?
I don't know, actually. There might have been one or two. I guess that would have been around the summer. So yeah, maybe a couple stuck around. This year though, there's been so much. Like there's been so many great albums. It's incredible. I just found the last 2-3 weeks, I've just been going through everything and things that I've been posting on my page, and even when I posted, I regret it. I'm like, oh, I should have put that higher. I should have put it lower. Like, it's a really difficult year.
Yeah. I do find that a lot dropped in the fall onward. So my list, personally, completely different than what was shared at the halfway mark. Maybe there are some that stuck around, and you'll see where. But overall, there's a lot of recency bias, I want to say, to the picks that made my top 10. It's been a strong year overall that, like I said, was fueled by a very strong back half of the year. So, Matt, what about you compared to the first half of the year when we did our episode? Where are you at now? How is making the list before we get into it?
For me, making the list was extremely hard. I started off in January, very excited to do the grinding, the homework for the hip hop album listening, and I listened to a lot of stuff. I kind of hit a wall, Eric, in the summer where I was disinterested in a lot of I kind of paused my homework and my listening, and then took it back up in the fall for this winter, where a lot of good stuff came out. So I had a hard time going back and re-listening to albums because there just wasn't enough time. And I have a hard time, guys. I don't know about with you guys, but I like two albums. I don't know what makes one better than the other one. I have a hard time differentiating why is this album better than this one. So my number 2 to the number 6 to 10 picks could all be intermixed and stuff. I have even a lot of the albums I left off, Eric, and hopefully we can talk about them because they're on your list, but I didn't want to leave them off, but I had to. I don't have the ear for music like you guys, I think, right? I can't explain why one album's better than the other. I just went with my favorites, simply the albums I listen to the most. Mm-hmm. And after I thought of that, I was like, okay, I can make my top 10 now. But no, it was a hard year because there was a lot of heavy hitters. Did you have the same problem, Eric?
Kind of, to be honest. I mean, and I don't really have like, there's not like criterias that I look for really in terms of like, oh, this one's better than that one for X reasons, X and Y. It's really just I go off vibes of like how I feel listening. And it may not even be an album that I would have as my number nine, for example, that we'll get into. I think is better than one that I have at number five. But there's just a couple of songs that I like so much that kind of overpower how maybe a full album. And maybe that's not the best way of going about it, but at the end of the day, who cares? It's my list, right? Like there's no, you can't really tell me I'm necessarily wrong if I'm telling you this is I like this album more than the other. Maybe you'll say, oh, the other one's better, but it's all, again, all off vibes. But yeah, making the list wasn't easy. I also hit a wall where I wasn't as interested in listening to rap all year, and it was kind of the same time as you, Matt, over the summer. I also got married this summer, so I didn't have as much time to devote to listening to rap as much. There's other stuff going on in my life, so picked it back up in the fall, though. But anyways, that's kind of it on the list making. I really bored down the last month, and I'm happy with the list I put together, to be honest. But like I'm sure both you guys, a lot of stuff could move up and down. Other than my top four, there's no move in that. I think those four at the top are cemented as nothing else came close for me. So yeah, I mean, that was a pretty long intro. I think this year we'll switch up the order a bit. We'll go Matt, Brandon, me, and then Snake back. So I'll go for my number 9, and we obviously start at 10. So Matt, kick us off without further ado. What's your number 10 album of 2024?
My number 10 album of 2024 is a recent one. I couldn't leave it off the list, guys, okay? Because even though I've only listened to this album, I can count on one hand how many times I listened to it. It blew me away. It had no business being this good for Snoop Dogg's 20th album. Mm-hmm. It's a missionary, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. I love the songs that sample some of the rock songs from back in the day, like Last Dance with Mary Jane, another song, Another Part of Me. It had a Message in a Bottle feel from the Police. They sampled a lot of cool stuff. Love the beats. Snoop Dogg sounds amazing in it. We were talking about that at work, Brandon. Snoop never sounded like the old Snoop in this one. But yeah, what do you guys think of that album?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Snoop sounds like he went back in '93 on some of those tracks. He just sounds rejuvenated. The tone, the style. I love tracks like Thank You. When it's Dr. Dre and Snoop mostly on there, it's just them, I find it just it just shines. Even the first song, Gorgeous, that beat, Snoop, I love it. No, I definitely agree. It's an incredible, incredible album.
Mm-hmm. Tough start for me, and I feel like a fool for this because I actually downloaded this album when it dropped. I never got around to listening to it, and that's on me. I should have going into this because I figured it would be on either one or both of your guys' lists, and because I did see it I think, Brandon, you gave it high praise on when it dropped as well, so hand up, that's on me. Didn't listen to it, but I will have to get into it since it's already on your list, Matt, and potentially on yours as well, Brandon, so don't have that much to say, but I will say, though, I am happy to see that Snoop Dogg, this late in his career, was able to drop a memorable album. Of course, reuniting with Dr. Dre is a big asset on the production side, but I feel like what he had been dropping recently may not have been the strongest, in my opinion. Obviously, as rappers get older, perhaps they start to lose a bit of that same hunger and prowess that they once had, but it appears that's not the case for the Snoop D-O-double-G at this point in his career, so love to see it, but that's all I got on it. Brandon, what's your number 10?
Oh, that's me. Yeah. So number 10, I'm going to go with Sky Zoo, Keep Me Company.
Nice.
It'd probably be higher in my list. It just dropped not that long ago, I think November. But it's Sky Zoo. It's just, he's incredible. It has that jazzy, boom bap, hip hop feel to it. It seems to be more, well, I guess a lot of the stuff, it's more of a social commentary on it. Prayers for the Customer kind of brings, especially at the end, it brings up the conversation about the N-word and about how it was hip-hop put it out there, and now you have different races using it and what it's done. Hearing Chuck D on the chorus for a Courtesy Call was so dope. But yeah, just incredible album. I think
Sky Zoo to me is like probably one of the most consistent MCs out there, and every year he seems to make my top 10.
Yeah, I love this album too. Just quick, well, I won't keep doing this, but yeah, quick spoiler. It just missed my list. That's one of them that was hard to like fit in there, but I loved it too, Brennan.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said it on the pod a few times, Brandon. You've put me on to Sky Zoo, and I'm very grateful that you did because I'm a big fan of his music as well. There's something about his voice, I think, or the cadence, his flow, the lyricism. He paints a picture about what it's like to be in his specific borough where he grew up, the area. Very vivid lyricism. I'm a big fan. No comment on if it's my list or not. I don't want to spoil, but I enjoyed it as well. Very solid album, and whenever Sky Zoo drops, it's a must listen for me as well now for sure.
Nice.
So number 10 for me, this one is again you could argue for sure argue that there's better albums out there that dropped all year, but I'm going back to my argument at the start, Vibes, and I listened to this album so much this year that I could not leave it off, and I feel like the number 10 spot is perfect for that. It's hold up. Johann Sebastian Baklava, The Doctor by Action Bronson. So,
Nice.
I'm a big fan of Action Bronson, AB, have been since 2012. Always brings me back to first year university, grinding it out at the library, waiting for my 7 to 10 class at night, watching Action Bronson videos. Rare Chandeliers just dropped, if you'll recall. Great mixtape. So, I'm just a fan of the comedy he has in his raps, and there's quite a few songs in here that I just find, like, I like the vibes. So the Citrus Wahoo with Mayhem Loren just has me bopping, vibing. Hold up, I'm just going to pull up the track list there, but the song Compressor, I think it's called, with Larry June as well, floats on the beat out there. Yeah, I mean, I'm just an Action Bronson guy, and I think he delivered on this album. A good bounce back from his previous album, Cocodrilo Turbo, from a few years prior, which I actually enjoyed also, but I think this was classic Action Bronson, and I felt it had to make my top 10. So, you guys have thoughts on this album?
Oh, it's an amazing. And I don't think I did it justice. I don't think I listened to it enough because I really did enjoy it. And it is more of Action going back to his style, not so far out there, but he's still Action.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's incredible. I like to call it like alt hip hop. It's like it's very left, but I mean he rides that lane amazingly. No, that's a great pick.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great pick. I listened to the album too. I really liked it.
All right, good stuff. So now, number 9, which, again, to what I said earlier, could be argued that this belongs higher based on the technical rapping ability that you're seeing on here. And I'll, again, give you a quick shout-out here, Brandon. I think back-to-back years, you said this was your most anticipated album going into next year, and it finally did drop after how many years we waited for it. The Force by LL Cool J. So never in a zillion years that I think I'd have an LL Cool J record on my top 10, but here we are. And to be honest, I'm really not familiar with his music at all. I know him more as like kind of just a figure that you'd see maybe on MTV or some sort of award show, but the dude can rap, and he's still sounding. I'm talking about Snoop Dogg's an older rapper rapping. Isn't this dude pushing like mid-50s for Christ's sake? And he was doing his thing on here with kind of a modern flair and old school vibes. I listened to this album yesterday at the mall. I was just jamming all day. It flows relatively smoothly, like 44 minutes, 14 songs. Great legendary features on there. Eminem, Nas, Busta Rhymes, Fat Joe. I don't know. There's something about the Fat Joe verse that just gets me going. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I mean, I'm just a big fan of this album. So again, thank you for having this as an anticipated album. And I want to say Q-Tip also produced the entire album, which whenever you see Q-Tip on the production side, that's a big plus for me. It piques my interest. Like, he had that album with Danny Brown a few years back. Love that. So I'd love to see Q-Tip do more full collab albums behind on the keys, if you will. So yeah, The Force, LL Cool J, number 9 for me. Great album if you haven't really been aware of LL Cool J's music. It's a great return to form for him.
Yeah, I'll definitely be touching on it after.
Okay.
Figured you would be.
But as you said though, he's been rapping since I was born. Like, I think 1985 or 84 is when he first came out, which is unbelievable. And yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's incredible.
Yeah, I loved it too. It makes me happy to see it on your list, Derek.
Nice. So yeah, Brandon.
What's your number 9, Brandon?
Number 9 for me, I'm gonna go. This is one that I moved up. Lupe Fiasco, Samurai. When I first heard it, okay, I was like, all right, he's back to boom bap. He's back to soundtrack as a full producer on every track. It is a shorter album at 8 tracks. I think it runs about 30 minutes, but it feels like a complete LP. And when I started, I guess, researching it, you could say, he built the whole album off of a Amy Winehouse quote from her documentary, where she's like, I got beautiful battle raps in my mind, and I'm like a samurai. It's something to that effect.
Oh.
So, yeah. So the first, I want to say 3 or 4 tracks is all through the eyes of, like, Amy Winehouse as a battle rapper, which is, yeah, if, like, you're reading the lyrics, I'll butcher one, but from Cake, one of the tracks, he goes, Janis Joplin droplets, it sounds like the apocalypse, mixed with Christopher Wallace topics on top of Opolis. So, like, even in the lyrics, he's lyrical, but it's all through that, like, that eye. Mumble rap. She's walking through the park, she meets a guy, and now she's in a mystical rap battle, and she's got to take out all these competitors. It was just, yeah, it was so creatively done. And I think he always has that in all his albums, but now the production matched that creativity. And it just, like, this album soared. And like I said, after, like, really going through it, I saw, like, the genius in it. Even, like, the second half, it's kind of through his own perspective, but he, like, croons on a lot of the songs. He's, like, more melodic, as if Amy Winehouse was. So, I don't know, I get more and more impressed with this project. It's unbelievable.
What do you think about it, Eric?
Yeah, I liked it a lot, to be honest. I've liked Lupe for a long time. I found that his last few albums I wasn't too crazy about and could never really get into them, but this one was a more accessible one, I'd say, even if you're not aware of the plot that you just described there. Like, I was just listening to it, enjoying the songs, the vibes were good, and kind of boom bap again. It flows really smoothly. Some catchy stuff in there, like mumble rap I was a big fan of. The end, till eternity too. Like, I just like the whole album. It's a good return to form. Samurai was a good opening song. Yeah, I mean, I was a fan of this. Good pick.
I was a big fan of this album too. I don't know anything about Lupe Fiasco, but what I enjoyed about this album was starts off super more fast-paced songs and then gets a little slower towards the second half of the album, and it's super quick listen. Mm-hmm. So great pick, Brandon. We're gonna go my number 9. Another one that came out like at the end of the year. It's Everybody Eats by Stress Eaters, Czarface, and Kool Keith. I didn't think it'd make my list, honestly, but I re-listened to it a lot in the last few days, and I had to put it on just for, like, the playfulness of the lyrics, the beats, songs like Rocket Science, Here's Some Homicide featuring Ice-T. There's a song near the end of the album, Aladdin's Castle. It's, like, video gamey references, and it's really cool. Just like the whole funness of the album, creative lyrics and beats, really cool features, too. Kind of like, just like all the other Czarface albums, really enjoyable. So number 9, Everybody Eats for me.
That's awesome. I love the Czarface, and I'm embarrassed to say that I haven't got to this one yet. So I definitely have to listen to it.
I do feel like this one kind of came in under the radar, though. Like, that's a good catch, Matt, to get, because I don't even know how I found this album, but I think you're not going to see this one advertised anywhere on Apple Music or Spotify. Like, you got to go digging. I just stumbled upon it, listened to it the one time, enjoyed it quite a bit. It reminded me of, like, a classic Czarface album. The vibe is always the same, like the comic book references, the movie references they make. I'm just a big fan of that vibe, so I love to see that on your list. Good pick.
Awesome. Okay, now my number 8. This is to me like the epic of the year. Didn't know anything about this artist. checked out the album because it kind of had a little hype around it when it came out. This album is Please Don't Cry by Rhapsody. Didn't even know who she was or anything. And I listened to this, and it took me several listens because it is a long album. I think there's like 22 songs maybe, but the more I listened to it, the songs I loved, I really loved. Yeah, not all, there's some filler in there, possibly, like you can call it filler, but like some, anyways, really enjoyed it. Again, I discovered this artist and it was great. Yeah, I like how like some of the songs are more fast. Like I don't even know if this album would be just hip hop. It could include different genres in it. You know, there's more like some singing in there and different stuff. Anyways, big fan of the album. Please Don't Cry, Rhapsody, great artist. I didn't even know who she was. But Brandon, what do you think of this album?
It's amazing. It's incredible. She's, I think she's like one of the best like lyrical MCs out today. And yeah, that album, I loved it. Like, there's a lot of different looks on it. Asteroids, produced by Hit Boy, is like so good. I was on live one day. Not on live, I was on IG. She went live at about 3 a.m. and she premiered 3 a.m. with Erykah Badu. And she played it back to back, had the whole backstory of it. Like, it just really made you connect. Like, I really connected a lot with that song. No, that's a great, great pick. I love the whole therapist where she's like kind of on the therapist couch and she's just letting it all out. No, that's a great pick. Amazing album.
Love to see that, Matt. I haven't listened to this one. I did see this be listed on some lists at the end of the year there, so I didn't expect this one at all, but great pick. I'll have to check it out. I'm really not familiar with Rhapsody's music. I think I've heard her on, like, she's on a song on To Pimp a Butterfly. Forget the name of the song right now, but I don't know her music individually, so I'll have to check this out.
Yeah, no, I would recommend her whole discography from the mixtape to her studio albums. She's incredible.
All right, will do.
I'll go. So number 8, I've got Vince Staples, Start Time.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, Vince Staples is just incredible. I feel like he's had a huge year with like the next Netflix show, which was just, I loved it. And then he drops this album and it's just amazing. I can't even like pinpoint like songs. I find just from like front to back, it flows. Like it's just I guess a new age West Coast sound to it. You know, I just love it. There's an intro on one of the last tracks where it's a woman talking to her husband. And she's like, lie to me like you lie to everybody else. Like, tell me you're doing good. Like, just very, like, he's always very deep, I find, with his lyrics. But yeah, as of songs like Black and Blue, Government Cheese, Liars, there's just so many good ones. Yeah, I don't know. I just love that. I found myself going back to it a lot this year.
This is one that I listened to and I liked. I didn't re-listen to it like at the end of the year. I kind of forgot about it, if I'm gonna be honest. What about you, Eric?
Kind of same boat. I think I listened to it a few times when it dropped. I liked Vince Staples. I've been a fan of his music for a long time, but yeah, I think when I wanted to go through the albums that could make my list, I remember it had been so long since I listened to it. I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to this because it's not gonna make my list. Like, I think that was my mindset, which might have been incorrect because I do remember it being good. Like, Black and Blue, I know, was a banger. I want to say the first song is not even a song; it's kind of like just a skit, or there's sounds, and then you head into the first Black and Blue. Anyways, no, I gotta re-listen to this one from the top. So, love that pick. Number 8 for me. So I was gonna say it wouldn't be a list of mine if this artist wasn't on here, but that's not true because last year I did not have him on there. So I'm gonna go Still Praying by Westside Gunn and DJ Drama. So there's a few different versions of this album. You can find the DJ Drama list version or the DJ Drama featured version, and I opt for. I mean, some people might find him very annoying. The obsessive yelling, the reruns of like the song starts, the first 2 bars go, and then he's running it back. You're hearing it 3-4 times. Could be annoying. Me, I find it adds to the vibe, and there's just something about Westside Gunn's beat selection that I think is honestly second to none in the rap game right now. There's just something about the instrumentals in there that are just so like fluffy and heavenly to a certain degree, and I just enjoy it. I like his raps, what he's talking about on there, and the features I'm a big fan of, right? Like the Griselda crew all shows up on the song Still Praying. It's probably my favorite song on the album. Stove God Cooks gets to rap for what feels like 5 minutes, but I can't say no to that, you know? What I will say, what I think would have maybe helped push this album higher up is if there were more features. Like all the features are on 3 songs, and I feel like they should have been, or maybe there's another one in there, but they should have been spread out a bit more because there's only so much a West Side Gun lead song can give you, right? Like it is quite repetitive. I understand that it may not be for everybody. For me, it is, and that's where in other albums in the past where I would have ranked them higher, like 10, for example, from 2022, there were 2-3 features on every song, and you were getting the perfect amount of gun. Maybe too much here, but overall, I still listen to this a lot. So, had to have it on my list. Still Praying. Did you guys give it a listen? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, definitely did. I don't know, you said it all perfectly. I can't agree more. I love the cover.
Yeah.
I love the cover is amazing. I do agree. I love that that DJ drama, you know, '06 feel with him yelling and bringing back. Like, I love that feel of it. It's nostalgic. Yeah, no, I think you laid it out perfectly.
I wrote down every album I listened to this year, 54 albums, and that was not one of them, Eric. You got me.
Okay.
I wrote it down, though. I'm going to listen to it, and I'm kind of kicking myself right now, actually.
Interesting.
You definitely got me with that one.
So we got Stress Eater, but not West Side Gun. Interesting. But, no, good stuff. Okay, so I'll go into my next one, which is actually what would be more appropriate in what I just said to tee up this pick is every single year this guy lands on my list, and that would be Boldy James Nick Craven collab album Penalty of Leadership, which I believe was my number 2 album at the time that we did our mid-year ranking. So this one I honestly almost left it off based on new albums that dropped, but I did listen to this so much in the first half of the year. This dropped like the second week of 2024. Perfect snowy time, cold weather album, which may be why I went back to it. And the song Jack Frost has just been my anthem the last few days, as it was at the start of the year. But yeah, no, there's just something about Nick Craven and Boldy James collaborating together that I think is a match made in heaven. Similarly to Boldy James and Alchemist, who hopefully they do an album together in 2025. But yeah, I'm just a big fan of that duo. They had their Fair Exchange No Robbery album in 2022. Love that one. And I think this one was at least on par, if not maybe better than that one as well. So I think this just worked perfectly. Boldy James, again, someone that maybe you could say is uninspiring, always sounds the same, the monotone, laid-back delivery. But I do find that he switches it up a bit on this album, and he does prove that he can rap kind of fast at times. Wordplay off the charts. He finds 20,000 different ways of talking about his drug dealing past, and I just eat it up, right? So, Boldy James, Nick Craven, Penalty of Leadership. Thoughts?
Nice. Great pick. Yeah, no, great pick. I do find that with them, I just find I don't have a lot of replay value with his music because of that. I do love that he hooked up with Nicholas Craven. I'm from Montreal, so it's always good to see a hometown guy shine like that.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great album, and I really probably should revisit it more.
It is a great album that I probably should have what you said, Brennan. Check it out more. I thought Boldy had another great album this year too, the Brictionary. I really dug that one. Yeah, this one was a serious contention, but yeah, there was a lot of other great ones. But Eric, I'm glad it's on your list so we can talk about it. It's a great pick. Yeah. I was wondering where it was number 2 in the top 5, so I was wondering where it was going to show up if it was gonna. So nice to see it.
Nice. So I'm going to go with my number 7. It's Jason Martin, a.k.a. Problem, and DJ Quick, Chupacabra.
Oh, man. Okay.
This is a straight West Coast album. it's almost like a compilation. The Game, I want to say, is featured on like more than half the tracks. He opens up the album. I think it's just him. Easy Call is with a Big Hit and The Game. They remake an Eazy beat for it. It's incredible. It's like gangster rap at its finest. I love it. Jason Martin and DJ Quick share production duties. DJ Drama makes an appearance on A Quick Message. Money, Cars, and Guns with Dom Kennedy. CeeLo Brown is on it. I mean, it's got a wide range of features, and it's just musically, like, DJ Quick is one of my favorites, and musically it just hits on another level.
I did listen to this when I'm reading my notes right now. I think I only listened to it once, and I wrote down very good. So probably warranted a re-listen to see if it would get better. But I'll have to check it out again now, Brandon.
I just downloaded this album because I was looking at the features while you were giving the breakdown. Like, we got my guy Larry June on here, Bun B, Wiz Khalifa, K-Tronaut, anyways, Currency. So no, I gotta listen to this for sure. Jason Martin. So funnily enough, Ab-Soul dropped an album this year, and he's on one of the songs, I'm pretty sure. And I remember hearing him, I'm like, this is Problem, but on the features it said two different names. I was like, what is going on here? I had to Google Problem, Jason Martin, formerly known as Problem. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
that's right.
But yeah, okay, I'll definitely check this album out. And DJ Quick, want to say, pretty legendary producer. So yeah, this is definitely a listen for me coming up. So love that.
Nice.
All right, my number 7 is our first repeat, I believe, of the night. My number 7 is Samurai by Lupe Fiasco.
Nice.
Absolutely love this album. This is my album of the summer when I was doing like grass cutting, stuff outside. I'd always have this album on because I'd always finish it, and just good vibes, really fun. You said it best, so everything's been said already, basically. I don't think we need to say too much about it. Do you guys want to add anything more on it, or I can jump to my number 6? Okay, number 6. Number 6 is The Auditorium Volume 1 by Common and Pete Rock.
Nice.
I remember when this dropped, there was a lot of like buzz about it and hype. And this one took me a long time to warm up to and and really love it the way I do now. I will say I listened to it a lot, Brandon, because you pushed it. Like you hype this, not hype, but you praise this album a lot. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to actually listen to it more than once or twice. And after listening to it since it came out, love it. It's not super short, but it's like it has a nice I don't really pay attention to when the song ends. It's just like one long album to me. One long song is what I'm trying to say, and it's stellar. I'm looking at the track list right now, and I can't find any misses. Just the first 3-4 songs are great, and then doesn't let up from there. Common, not super familiar with his rapping, more with his acting, but great rapper. Like Brandon, has he been around since the 90s, 80s? I have no idea, but big fan of this album.
Oh yeah, I think he dropped his first album in 92. Mm-hmm. He's got a deep discography. He's done his first 4 albums was with No Idea, Chicago legendary producer. Then he did work with Kanye West. He's been around, and this album, I gotta say, when I first heard it, I'm a huge Pete Rock fan, huge Common, and I'm like, this is a classic. The first moment I heard it, I was like, it blew me away. And my anticipation for it was sky high, and it completely exceeded all of it. I don't know, it's amazing, incredible.
So based on that rundown, I imagine it might pop up on your list later, but we'll see. And our cousin Dylan is smiling from ear to ear right now, Matt, because he wouldn't stop talking to me about this album, which I honestly really liked as well. Only listened to it from start to finish the one time, but it was really good. I should have re-listened to this going into this episode. It didn't, but no, really good. And hopefully they do a volume 2, right? It's kind of a tease if they just give us the volume 1 with a promise of a 2 and never deliver. So hopefully they do get back in the lab, or have, and then drop that second compendium of music. So no, great pick. Love that.
Yeah, perfect pick. Number 6 for me, I'm gonna go with Curious, the Magician. This album, like Curious has been around for a while. He was in MF Doom, World, and this album feels like an MF Doom album. It feels like you can hear Doom rapping on every track. It's incredible. Lyrically, he's just amazing. There's songs like Barry Gibb. I keep going back to 1984, which is like a break dance, like an old school break dance beat, is amazing. I love the whole magician theme to it. I can't say good about it. This was like top 3 for me up until maybe a month ago, and I just keep going back. It's like he took the spirit of Doom and he put it on a record. Even Mr. Fantastic, which was an old collaborator of Doom, Homeboy Sandman on Open. I just can't say enough good things. It's front to back amazing for me.
Yeah, I listened to it. I listened to the start of it. I remember I was getting in my car, drove to where I had to be, came back home, and then never finished. But from what I heard, I did enjoy quite a bit. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a few things you can follow along as our picks go on the graphic. But you'll see that I have an MF Doom painting that I actually painted myself behind me. So I'm a big MF Doom guy, and I did find that there were similarities in between, like in their voices and rapping style. So yeah, I mean, I got to get back into this one. If you're saying it was top 3 at one point, now it made number 6, so it's a must revisit on my part. So I'll get back to it.
I feel like an idiot. I completely missed this one. I wrote it down. I'm gonna listen to it. Completely didn't know about it. So thank you for bringing it up, Brandon, because I'm gonna check it out now.
I feel like there's no reason to feel like an idiot for not hearing about Curious Magician. I had never heard of this guy in my life before Brandon posted him. So don't say that, Matt.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Eric.
Like even typing it now to put on the graph, I'm like, how do you spell curious? Like, nothing was working. So no, you're good. Okay, number 6 for me. I actually just talked about this album, acting like I barely knew if Jason Martin was on a track with him or not. Of course I did. I listened to this album tons of times. Soul Burger by Ab-Soul, who was a pick of Brandon's a few years back. Herbert, if you'll recall, and I loved Soul Burger, to be honest. Like, it was a nice bringing the West Coast flair into my list now at this point, and I find there are a lot of like nice upbeat bangers, if you will. Starting with All That with Jason Martin was one of my favorite songs on the album, and that nice 3-song slot sets the tone. California Dream with Vince Staples, Bucko JR. I'm not sure if you guys have both listened to it, but I absolutely love that song. The guy he snapped on that. D&D, Don Julio 70, and I'm a big fan of, I find Ty Dolla $ign, you get him on a feature, unbelievable, on GoPro with Ab-Soul. Love that song. And then Crazier with JD, Peace with Lupe. There's a few songs in here that I definitely skip. I'm not a fan of every single song in here, but the ones I like, I love, which is why I think it propelled it past the other albums on my list and had to be on here for me. So yeah, Soul Burger by Ab-Soul, number 6 for me.
Nice pick. Incredible album. I've been like saying like if TDE was Wu-Tang, he would be the Inspector Deck of TDE. He's so lyrical, and I find him a bit like underappreciated. When he opens up with 9 Mile, it's like he's given a homage to like hip hop movies with However Do You Want It, a cappella rapping over it from the Belly intro of the movie, to then going into 8 Mile, the final battle rap, and taking on that B Rabbit flow. I just thought it was like a brilliant way. Bucko Jr., like you said, is one of my favorite tracks. I love when he remakes Sky's the Limit, Biggie's Sky's the Limit. I thought that was incredible. And it's a deep album. It's named after, it's him and his friend who passed away. They're both names together. So it's incredible. Squeeze First. I can't say enough good things. It's a great album.
I'm 0 for 2 on the last 2. I have to check this one out. I can't believe I didn't. I wrote it down. super excited to listen to it after hearing you two speak about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot. I went into it with I don't know, tempered expectation. You never know what you're gonna get with Absol. I'm a big fan of him, have been for years, but I feel like he's hit or miss with his albums, or there's a few songs I like, and then the rest is kind of he's trying to do a bit too much. But no, everything kind of landed on this album, so I think you'll like it, Matt. If you're not super familiar with Absol, like this, I think a good album to introduce yourself to him with. Because he does get like his abstract, his Absol is where it comes from, right? So, I did not know Doe Burger passed away. That is sad news. I did not know that. So rest in peace, Doe Burger. So number 5 has been mentioned earlier, teased with my penalty of leadership. I'm going back to back Boldy James here, the Brictionary with Harry Fraud. So this is like textbook me. I have to have a Boldy James album in my top 5, and if it has a Harry Fraud component to it, it's a bonus, because that's Harry Fraud. I was thinking about this today. One of my favorite modern day producers that I find only does collab albums with artists, and for the most part, it's artists that I like. I was introduced to him via French Montana in like grade 11, I want to say. And I find he brought out the best of French Montana. His best music is done with Harry Fraud on the keys. And he does music with a Currency, 38 Special, Wiz Khalifa, guys like of that ilk. And with Boldy James here, it's like, again, it makes sense. Drug dealer rap, stoner producer, what could go wrong? And Harry Fraud has the wavy surf beats that Boldy effortlessly glides over, freezing the ocean, just skating over the beats. And there's a few songs I absolutely love on here. Speedy Gonzales, in which we're seeing a kind of different, faster tempo flow from James. And then probably my favorite song on the album, Shrink Rap, which just has like that infectious, chill Boldy James chorus that this guy he's got some melody to him, underrated, sneaky, can sing, and Shrink Rap is just my jam. But overall, I like the vibe on here. Boldy James, Harry Fraud, 2 of my favorites in the modern day. And I had to have this on my list. So number 5, The Brictionary. Another one I was really anticipating when that was announced months prior to it dropping. I was pumped they were making an album together.
I feel I definitely have to go back to it. I felt like I just skimmed through it. Rabies kind of like stood out to me. But yeah, no, I gotta go back. I gotta go back into it.
I listened to it like several times, Eric. I loved it. It was in the 10th spot with Missionary. I had to pick one of them, and I picked Missionary. I think it's Speedy Gonzales, where I was like, my eyes popped open. I'm like, oh, this is like might be the best Boldy song I've listened to. It like elevated. I'm like, oh shit! Like it really like made me sit back and go and consider it. And I'm gonna re-listen to it again. Actually, now that it's on your list, Eric, like I really did love it. And it was very hard for me to keep off my list. So I'm glad you had it, Eric. We talked about it. Very happy to see that.
Good stuff.
So I'm going to go with number 5.
Yep.
Blue in Exile. Love the Ominous World.
Let's go.
I feel like my list is either West Coast or boom bap. It's like, that's where the lane I've been going. But Blue is one of my favorite artists. He's I guess more of an underground type of artist. But he's released 4 projects this year, 1 instrumental. He's been on an incredible run. Me and Matt were kind of talking about it earlier there. But this album, man, there's something about this album that's just incredible. It was between this and Los Angeles. I was like kind of going back and forth. But songs like Chucks with Corrupt and King Crooked on it just blew me away. And I love how Corrupt ends that verse. Like, if you remember New York from Dogpound, where he just goes off at the end of the verse, he does that on Chucks, and then it goes into Suge Knight, where Blue goes into the story on how he tried to get signed to Death Row. So I thought that was just a really, like, awesome little segue piece that he used. Sugar and Butters is amazing. I love Exile. I find Exile, Blue's incredible, and he sounds the best when Exile is producing for him. They just have that perfect chemistry together. Smack with Fashawn is on there. Undisputed. Yeah, no, it's just an amazing, amazing album. They never miss.
I love this album too, Brandon. This is the year of Blue, in my opinion. 4 great albums, and I had one of his albums on the top 5. So, yeah. Did you like this album, Eric?
I did not get to check this one. Like you said, he dropped 4 albums, and Matt had mentioned Blue a few times. You also, I want to say, posted him on Insta a couple times, Brandon. I gave his albums, I don't want to say a fair shot, but I listened to a few songs and I wasn't getting hooked in, and maybe I wasn't in the right mindset. But it was the LA album I recall because I listened to it more recently, and it's like I'll just say I'll be very honest in my assessment here. It's like me with Boldy James may be like you guys with Blue. To be, you know what I mean? It's like I understand Boldy James, not for everybody. Me, it's like drops an album, I'm just like, oh, it's perfect. You know what I mean? So I am not there yet, but I will continue to listen to, try to familiarize myself with his music. But it doesn't hook me in at this time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't listen to the 4 albums that he dropped, and not a full one either. So sorry, guys.
Quite. That's all right. It's quite fitting that your number 5 is Love the Ominous World by Blue, because my number 5 is Out of the Blue by Blue and Shafiq Hussein. Honestly, Los Angeles, Royal Blue, Love the Ominous World, and this one, Out of the Blue. Like, I like them all. This is Blue's year for quality albums. I love the like LA 2020, CA All Day, and Living Color. Like the first 4 or 5 songs just hit hard for me. I'm with Eric. Like an album has to hit me at the beginning. Songs 2, 3, 4, 5. There's got to be something there, or I'm not going to be interested. Really liked it. I had it on my top 5 mid-year, and it's number 5. So big fan. It could have been like I could have interchanged it with one of his other albums, but I decided to go with Out of the Blue. Really solid. Yeah, we gave Blue his dues. Now, do we want to just move on to my number 4?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't listen to the album, so I don't have anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 4. Didn't even know who this artist was, and I read this album drop. This album is called Platinum OG2 by Spice One. Didn't even know who Spice One was, but I love this album, guys. Really, really love it. It made my top 5 mid-year. I kept listening to it. This is the album I listened to when I went to London, England for 11 days. I listened to this one a lot, like traveling, walking around. Love it. Love the song Projects. Got the Ice Cube sample on it. Ice Cube. I like the skits, and not the skits, but the interludes in between, like them discussing West Coast hip hop and how Spice One's influence, he influenced it, and that was cool little stuff for the album. Yeah, Spice One, I'm a fan now, and Platinum OG2, I thought it was a fantastic, amazing album.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to see that on your list. It's incredible. And Spice, he's another guy that's been doing this since the early 90s. And if you could put this album in any of that time frame, he never deferred from his style. He has his sound, and that's what I love about him, is he sticks to it. Incredible. Since Today, I think, might be my favorite song. The first track with DJ Premier on the beat and CL Smooth. I love that he has so many features on it. And like you said, the interludes is big because it's Sway, who's also from the Bay Area, and they're just kind of going through his whole history, which just really ties the whole album together. Yeah, Deuces in the Sky with MC8. That's it's a Bay Area, just a dope album.
Yeah, I recall that you mentioned this one on your on the top 5 list. I didn't listen to it, so it's on the list still. I gotta get back to it. So I've added it. Platinum OG2, Spice One. I'll give this a rip. So I like it, Matt.
Yeah, no, great pick. So number 4, I'm gonna stay on the West and the Dog Pound. We All We Got. Loved it. I thought it was like it's like Dog Pound going back to their old sound, but working with a new set of producers, Mike and Keys. You might know them. They did a lot of Nipsey Hussle beats. They did a whole album, I think 2 albums now with Dave East. So they're a newer production duo, but they just embodied that West Coast classic sound. I love that it's like a full circle moment. They're back on death row. Snoop Dogg was featured on like a lot of tracks, which was awesome to see. Songs like Grown Up, We All We Got with the East Siders was amazing. Just Who the Hardest, another DJ Premier produced track where you have everybody going at him. I think Lady of Rage probably had the best verse on the whole song, but it's just incredible. It just feels like 2024 was like the year of like the 90s. Like the 90s came back, all these artists came back, and they made like quality work. Number 4, the Dog Pound.
Nice. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Dog Pound's music. I haven't heard this one either, but I like to see more. I feel like West Coast did have a really big year, at least in the mainstream anyways. I think they did, and across the board. It's already on a few of our lists there. So, no, I like that pick, but I haven't listened to it. Matt, what about you?
Actually, I didn't listen to it either. Actually, I thought I did. I went through my list. I haven't written it down, and I would have remembered if I had listened to it anyways. So I wrote it. I jotted it down on my must listens now. So you got me again, Brandon. So nice.
Nice.
All right, so top 4 for me. Like I said, these were my unshakables. The Brictionary kind of got grandfathered in because I'm a Boldy James fanatic, but everything here was like legit top stuff for me. My favorite albums of the year, no questions asked. Number 4, someone who every time he drops an album, which is for the most part every 2 years, it's like automatic album of the year contender. I could have it higher. It could be my second favorite, to be honest, but there's 2 more that I liked more. But I think this is an amazing album. West Coast, Chromacopia by Tyler, the Creator. That's my number 4. He's become someone who, like I said, is like every time he drops or he announces an album, it's like my interest is piqued. I know it's meticulously produced, written, thought out, and arranged by Tyler. Concept albums for the most part these days. And I think Chromacopia, I love what he did on here with he said it's his most honest and vulnerable album. Everything he said on the album is 100% authentic. Where in the past he would kind of lie and exaggerate things and create characters to present a facade to the public. And here he's truly being vulnerable. People are kind of saying it's his Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. I would highly disagree because this actually made my top 10, whereas the other did not for 2022, but we don't need to go down that path. But Chromacopia, there's some in here, like I said, some thought-provoking songs. And then again, he sprinkled a couple of bangers in here, like Ratatata, as the second song kind of gets you in that, all right, head bopping mood. There's the song with Schoolboy Q, Thought I Was Dead, very catchy. Sticky, you got a couple of good features in there. I Killed You. And then, like I said, the more personal, like Hey Jane, Judge Judy, Take Your Mask Off, Tomorrow. Anyways, I just love this whole album, the aesthetic of it all. And Tyler is someone who I hope just keeps dropping music like this. And in my books, when you talk about the big 3 top dogs of rap, it's J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick. I think Tyler, the Creator, at the very least, deserves to be in that conversation. If not, maybe bump out a Cole or a Drake. But you're looking at it from a different perspective. But the guy does numbers too. Like his albums sell. So I think Tyler deserves and is kind of getting his flowers. So yeah, that's my pick. Number 4, Chromacopia.
Yeah. Great pick. Like you said, when he first came out, I wasn't huge on him. And then my kids actually brought me into his music. And I love this album. Judge Judy is a standout track for me. I thought it was great. So like he's crafting albums, he's crafting projects. It's not like slapping together a bunch of hit songs. He's making real music, and like you said, he's selling. He's taking like number 1 spots. He's getting big looks. Definitely agree with the big 3 comment. Incredible album. I'm gonna be taking my kids to the concert in Montreal, so I'm really excited to see how he does it live, because it looks like he puts on an incredible show.
Yeah.
It's a great pick, Eric. I really like this album too. Admittedly, Tyler, the Creator, I'm not super familiar with his discography. Like, I have never deep dive on his stuff. I've only listened to maybe his stuff in his last 2 albums, basically. And I listened to this one a couple times, but kind of like pushed it to the side and never went back to it. The concept of the album is cool. Like, I think each of his albums, correct me if I'm wrong, are their own, like, he's got like a they're not just songs put together, like you said. He's got like a concept for it and a style or I don't know how to describe it. He's like a true artist, right? He's not just like a mercenary or pay for. Anyways, yeah. No, this one I'm gonna relist too. I'm glad it's on your list.
Yeah, no, great album in my opinion. So number 3, another one that it was like as soon as it dropped, and like I said, Chromacopia, as soon as it dropped, I'm like, all right, this is a lock in the top for sure. This was another one very anticipated for me, being a fan of both artists featured on here. So this would be the sequel to a beloved 2018 album by Benny the Butcher and 38 Special, Stabbed and Shot 2. So this one is like immediately from song number 2, which is the actual first song of the album. The first one is a skit. I'm just eating up the vibe of like the crime rap, the drug dealer facade, or a reality for these guys in the past, I hope. But they're just trading bars. Like, and I've said this on the air countless times. I love when rappers do like a 2 4-pack each and build off the previous line, go back and forth. These guys do this multiple times on the album, and I absolutely love that. This has like a gangster rap tone to it, to the entire album. And these, like, every single song, I actually wanted to do this exercise to write down like who had the better performances on each song. I never got around to doing it because I truly think it'd be a coin flip where like on one song I'm like, 38, like you can't top this, and then Benny comes in with a different his cadence on the, like I talked about Sky Zoo earlier, like Benny has presence on his songs, and when he's rapping with 38, I feel like they both just bring out the best in each other. I hope these guys keep doing Stabbed and Shot albums so the day we all die, and hopefully they just keep it on wax and not in the streets. That's another conversation. But anyway, I'm a big fan of this album. So many songs I could list off, but really top to bottom, no skips for me. Bad Guy, probably one of my standouts, though I love the chorus on that, the vibes. Dave East on there too. But yeah, Stabbed and Shot 2, number 3 for me. Huge fan of this album.
I knew it was going to make your list. I waited to get the physical. I'm still in that old mentality, so I got the vinyl and I spun it, and then I spun it again and again, and it's incredible. Like you said, their chemistry back and forth is just so dope, and it's like seamless. Sometimes it would take me a second to get, Benny stepped in. Like they work off of each other so good. Throughway Music too is one of my favorites on there. Jesus Arms with Busta Rhymes. We can name every track. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I thought Benny had a great year, and this album's no exception. Like, loved it too. Super happy. It's super high up for you, Eric. I loved it too. I thought it was a great album.
All right, good stuff.
So number 3 for me, I gotta say it, Kendrick Lamar, GNX.
Okay.
It dropped. We know the summer. We know everything that happened. I wasn't really thinking. He's not a guy who drops a lot, so I wasn't really thinking we were gonna get it. And when it came, I took my son. We went in the car and we just drove around the city listening to it. So it's got a great memory with it. You hear a lot of talk that it's more of a mixtape than an album, which does kind of, there's no real storyline like he really usually does. But I just find, like, artistically, he's on another level. I find the whole Drake thing really put that fire under him. I love that Squabble Up. We were waiting for it forever. No one would have thought it would have that sample on there. Like, it was like a shock. Man at the Garden, where he takes one mic, the beat, the one mic from Nas, he flips it. Well, I thought it was done so well. TV Off, everybody's yelling mustard. Dodger Blue is another song that I really like. I love how he could go from very aggressive on it to then you'll get like a Heart Part 6 where he samples SWV and just the whole storyline. We always wanted to know what happened with Black Hippie. He laid it out there. J-Rock confirmed it. He said that's really what happened. Gloria is another one with SZA. I found he showed like his real love of hip-hop with this album. Gloria, it's a whole story, and then it comes out being, it's about his pen. And it's very similar to what Nas did with I Gave You Power, where he raps from the viewpoint of a gun, or where Pharoah Monch raps from the viewpoint of a bullet on Stray Bullet. So I found he really showed his like hip hop roots, reincarnated, remaking Tupac's beat. There's just so much I could say about it. Peekaboo, like I love the different looks. I do love the mixtape style we got with it. It was more of a Section 80 layout than a To Pimp a Butterfly or something else. And I've just been going back to it a lot.
That's a great pick. I love this album too. I am finding myself going back to it a lot as well. And you gave a great rundown there, Brandon. Eric, what do you think of GNX?
Yeah, great pick. I remember when it dropped, I was at work, and I remember, I think Kendrick posted like there's a video that dropped on YouTube, and there was a link with it. I clicked on the link, and it brought me to Apple Music, and it was like a full album. I was like, wait, what just happened here? It was out of the blue. It was crazy. And I remember it was on my lunch hour. I dropped whatever I was doing and just tapped in, listened from start to finish, and I absolutely loved it from the first listen. So it's Kendrick. It was really his year from, he set off a bunch of events with his verse on Future's song, and then he dropped like the diss songs with Drake. Is crazy. So yeah, GNX kicked it all off. So love to see it on your list here, Brandon. I'm not surprised at all, but I mean, great to see.
And just the last thing I'll say is that I love that he's at like the peak of his career, and he literally made, besides SZA, who's on TDE, he made tracks with unknown West Coast artists, newer artists. He gave these guys their first Billboard look, their first mainstream look. So I think that just shows like very commendable that an artist at his highest peak is reaching down and helping those others. I think it was a dope look.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps the next face of PG Lang was featured on this album. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Matt, top three.
All right,
time.
my number three, top three time. Number three, I've loved this artist ever since listening to the first song on his first album from like '87, I'm Bad. This is LL Cool J, The Force. I love his first album, Bigger and Deffer, and this one, The Force. It brought it back to like, oh my god, this is like prime LL Cool J. Loved it. The opening song, Spirit of Cyrus with Snoop Dogg. I was like, shit, this is gonna be a good album, and all the way down to like Murder Graham Durr and Saturday Night Special, Black Coat Suite, Proclivities. And all the songs I loved. I love this album. It had no business being this good, guys, because Brandon's been teasing us for years. When's that new LL coming out? Probably because it wasn't going to be good, right? They kept pushing it back. That's what happens with movies, right? But this album just slapped hard. A lot of bangers, and just the man is. I love LL Cool J, acting, music. He's a freaking industry in and of itself. The Force, huge fan of it.
So, I mean, at this point, I'm assuming it's either 2 or 1 for Brandon. It must be. And your point that you made, Matt, about it kept being delayed every year. Brandon's coming on. You're like, it's coming. It's my anticipated album. It's like, it's the A$AP Rocky effect with me. I keep saying I'm pumped for his album. Don't be dumb. It's been delayed for the last 3 years. But I'm hoping it can follow suit with what LL did with The Force and be a phenomenal album. I kind of regret putting it at number 9, to be honest. Like, I'm still praying. What are we doing here? But anyways, great album, Matt. I love to see it.
Sweet. My number 2. We just talked about my number 2, okay? It's GNX by Kendrick Lamar. I fucking love this album. Even the song, you didn't mention the song Luther with SZA. Like, even that one has more pop appeal to it, like radio play appeal, but even that one I loved. Reincarnated, probably my favorite song. When I first listened to it, I wasn't sure about this album. Like, it's kind of strange, going all over the place. Had some weird, like, Spanish things going on there with some, like, actual singing. And I'm like, but then it grew on me, and the weirdness I kind of dug, and then it got familiar, and I just really love the album now. Super quick listen. That song GNX got a bunch of rappers I don't know on features. I don't know who's on there, but like you said, he's giving other people a chance. Great album. We already talked about it, so yeah, that's my number 2.
crazy that you don't know Hit a J3, Young Threat, Peso, Matt. Come on. Like, what are we doing here? I'll just say I loved the Spanish. Like, as soon as I was listening to this, like, the Whacked Out Murals is crazy. As soon as that Spanish guitar riff comes in, I think I got chills the first time. I'm like, all right, buckle up, we're in for one here. And that intro song is insane. But yeah, no, great pick. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was gonna be everybody's number one. I thought maybe, we'll see where it lands for me, but I thought it'd be all united. But I like to see some diversity in here. It's good stuff.
Maybe I think if I had another month, it probably would have hit that spot. But number 2 for me, we touched on it, LL Cool J, The Force.
Nice.
Not much more I could say than it met all my expectations. Was it going to come out originally? Ironically, it was a Dr. Dre produced album. I guess he didn't like the direction, so he went to Q-Tip, and thank God he did. We get all of LL. We get the lyrical LL. He went toe-to-toe with Eminem. Like, he did his thing on it. We get the storytelling, 30 December. Like, I love that track. Like you said, The Spirit of Cyrus. Warriors is like one of my favorite movies. So I love that he touched on that. The Force, the beat, Q-Tip, like really like tied this whole album together. His production was top notch. LL like did it for the culture. He's had albums in the past where it felt a little poppy, felt like he was reaching. This one felt like he went back to his roots. And he just killed it, like, unbelievable.
Great pick. Again, I'll just say I'm happy that it lived up to the hype for you, and it delivered for Matt and I as well. So, great album.
It's on all our lists, right? It's on all our lists, so...
Yeah, I love to see that.
Maybe it's the only one that's on all of our lists, right? The unity for all of us.
Possibly, yeah.
But yeah, so me, I guess I kind of tip what my number 1 is, but number 2 for me was my number 1 at the halfway mark, and honestly, may be if I'm looking at it, like all year long, I've had more time to sit with this album. I've listened to it more. I love this album, but I have Kendrick as my number 1, but number 2 for me is We Don't Trust You, Future and Metro Boomin. So for me, like Future doesn't really deliver on albums for me other than on DS2. I'm a huge fan of that album. But for the most part, I find he just buries himself alone with no features. A few producers who I enjoy, like Southside, or I guess that's the only one that comes to mind there. But Metro Boomin, I guess, being one of them. But here, collaborating with Metro Boomin, he brings out the best of him, and he got a good list of features on here. Like a lot of artists that I like Travis Scott, Rick Ross is on there. Hold up. Just blanking right now. But anyways, even regardless of the features or not, or the features, I find that the songs are pretty concise. They're Metro Boomin, I'm a huge fan of his production as it is. So they're just, like I said about Harry Fraud and Boldy James, match made in heaven here. The Weeknd's on there. Who else? Kendrick, for God's sake. So that's what I was talking about earlier. Like that's the song that really kicked off everything for rap, in my opinion, or the world that I'm in for the rap game is like that. Probably my favorite song of the year and the song I listen to the most. On my way to hockey, every single night I'm listening to that song, Fire Me Up. And that verse was a surprise verse at the time. Like there were no features released on the tracks themselves. So when Kendrick comes in blaring, declaring war on specifically Drake and J. Cole, should they choose to stay in his way, insane. And then it spawned so many diss songs. Everyone's coming out against Drake. Rick Ross, we're talking about they're going to do a collaboration album back in the day, and turns out Rick Ross hates Drake's guts. Future got screwed over by Drake. Metro Boomin, same thing. It was just an insane moment in rap. It got some good songs out of Drake for us too, like Push Up's pretty good song, and then Family Ties or Family Matters, I think, is kind of an underrated diss song. I think Drake did his thing on there, but Not Like Us was the song of the summer, topping the charts, and I think this album kicked off everything for Kendrick, really. which is why I think GNX, it flows nice that it's my number one. Obviously, they're like, GNX was built off the strength of We Don't Trust You and Like That, which is maybe a crazy thing to say that Kendrick owes any of his success to a Future and Metro Boomin album, but here we are. And yeah, GNX, I don't really know what else to say about it, but instant hit for me, start to finish. It's a different vibe from Kendrick, which is another thing I really love and is cementing him as one of the GOATs of all time, I think, and definitely of our generation, that he's switching it up on all these albums, like not giving us a Boldy James effect where he's rapping the exact same way every single album about the same stuff. Here he went with a full-on embracing his West Coast roots. A lot of choruses on here, shorter songs, I'd say catchy as well. Like Squabble Up is a strange song. It shouldn't work as well as it does, but it does. Luther too, maybe a more traditional Kendrick Lamar song, but I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. Start to finish, big fan. But like I said, Whacked Out Murals sets the tone, and he delivers all the way down to Gloria, rapping about his pen. And the Heart Part 6 definitely makes Drake's Heart Part 6 song look even worse than it did at the time. Should be deleted from everywhere off the internet. But yeah, no. Kendrick, it was his year, and he's rolling that into next year, performing at the Super Bowl. So the guy just can't lose right now. Even in saying earlier that for me, like Mr. Morale and the Big Stepper is not crazy about that album, the guy has not really missed with his discography, and GNX is another phenomenal addition to the catalog. I don't know why any of us even question him when he drops. He always delivers. So that's my pick.
Yeah, no, amazing. We witnessed like history in real time. Back in the day when you had a Nas Jay-Z, you don't remember, but like Jay-Z dropped, and then it was like 6 months until Nas came back. We had a weekend of like back-to-back drops. I was on vacation at the time, and I was literally running to the bathroom to listen on my phone, and then by the end of it, we're heading back in our car, and all the kids are singing Not Like Us. Maybe not the best look as a parent, but it was a moment. And it just created like one of I think the biggest moment we've seen. Like it took over the world. It was incredible, and Kendrick delivered. And Drake did good too. Like it was neck and neck, I thought, until Not Like This. I thought they were going back and forth. Maybe the tailor-made freestyle. There's a few songs maybe you could be like, but it was pretty close until Kendrick just took it out. But yeah, no, incredible pick. So yeah, my number one, you could probably guess, Common and Pete Rock, the Auditorium Volume 1. Like I said earlier, Matt, when you brought it up, I'm like, this is a classic. I never have that feeling. I'm always like, you gotta wait 5 years. But I heard this and my mind was blown. Dreamin'. It opens up with Dreamin'. It's just smooth. Pete Rock takes a lot of samples that we've heard before, but he flips them. He does what he does best. He puts his own twist on it. Fortunate is another one of my favorite songs. When the Sun Shines with Pasta News from De La Soul is deep. My favorite song, which one is it? It's the only one where, All Kind of Ideas. It's the only one where Pete Rock raps on it. He's an underrated rapper. Like his voice, his flow is incredible. We are getting the Volume 2. They just teased it. 2025, they're coming back. And I can't wait. Like, it's just front to back, my favorite album.
Love that.
I had a feeling it'd be your number one. Yeah, awesome, Brandon. Yeah. And just quickly, Eric, We Still Don't Trust You. I listened to it after we did our top five, midway top five, and it was your number one. I checked it out, and I really dig that album, and it's a great workout album.
Definitely.
Sick beats.
Yeah.
You told me exactly. Yeah. Just want to give you praise for that.
Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, Brandon, I had a feeling it'd be your number one. Eric, I think you know what my number one is, Eric, but I want to, Brandon, do you have a guess for my number one?
No, I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Well, I want to guess. I'm not sure, but I want to guess also, Brandon, if you want to guess, but I was literally just thinking.
I'll leave it to you.
I think Richmond Hill.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I might be wrong then.
No, Brandon. Okay.
is it?
So we did our top five. In our top five, Richmond Hill was my number one. And it still is.
Hey,
It's
let's
still
go.
number one.
Let's go.
You're correct.
Let's go.
It's number one. Richmond Hill by Master Ace and Marco Polo.
Nice.
This is like GNX might be objectively a better album than Richmond Hill, but this is favorites. I listen to Richmond Hill the most out of any other albums this year. It's a story. It's Master Ace doing what he's done before with his albums. It's like almost like a movie, a script. He's got his interlude, his skits in there, like to add to the story. But I'm telling you, like what this after the second song, the third song, it kept like elevating, and then Below the Clouds hits, featuring Blue. It's got a Joni Mitchell sample, and I love the song that they sample from, and it reminded me of like Above the Clouds from the Gangstar album, Moment of Truth. So that just blew me away right there. And then ever since I re-listened to it, every time I re-listen to it, that part blows me away. But then second half of the album is just as good. Like it's not high art. It's not something that'll blow your like socks off, like GNX. But like I don't know, there's just a comfort to this album, a soothing quality to it. Makes me smile. Reminds me of '90s hip hop, my favorite stuff. This is like the year of the going back to the OG stuff, right, Brandon, Eric? So like, this is a comfort album for me. And it's held its spot as my number one all year just because every time I re-listen to it, I have a big smile on my face. Really enjoy listening to it. So, yeah, Richmond Hill by Master Ace, my number one album of 2024.
Nice. To be honest, I had no idea what your number one was going to be. Then as I started racking my brain and thinking back on that episode, like what was on your list, and I remembered that was on there, so that's how I got that. But I forgot about this album, to be honest. But I liked it too. Like I listened to it. It was one of the first ones that dropped all year, and I listened to it at the time a lot. But then it kind of fell off on me, and kind of like Blue Lips, to be honest. I don't know if any of you guys considered that, but I just have not been listening to it at all since it dropped. Too long, in my opinion. Like 19 songs or something like that.
Yeah, it's a long album.
Yeah.
I love to see it stayed in my top 10 until today. Literally today I took it out. But yeah, you said it best, man. It's incredible. I love the story. I love how these albums with Marco Polo has been Marco Polo's story. Like the first one was his going to Brooklyn for the first time, and now this one is kind of him growing up. The beats are incredible. The song Below the Clouds, definitely my favorite track. And I love All I Want, which we could play it a lot now this season. They flip a classic Christmas break, and I love how they ended it. No, that's an awesome pick. Great pick.
All right, great list, guys. Do you guys each want to run through your albums lists?
Yeah.
Like Matt, do you want to give us from 10 to 1? Then Brandon, then me. Just a recap.
Absolutely. So at number 10, all right. Number 10 is Missionary, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. Number 9 is Everybody Eats, featuring Stress Eater, Czarface, Kool Keith. Number 8 is Please Don't Cry by Rhapsody. Number 7 is Samurai by Lupe Fiasco. Number 6 is The Auditorium Volume 1, Common and Pete Rock. Number 5 is Out of the Blue by Blue. Number 4 is Platinum OG 2 by Spice One. Number 3 is The Force by LL Cool J. Number 2 is GNX by Kendrick Lamar. And number 1 is Richmond Hill by Master Ace and Marco Polo.
Nice.
Amazing. I might like your list better than mine. That's really I like that a lot.
No.
Awesome.
Brandon, what do you got?
I got so number 10, Sky Zoo, Keep Me Company. Number 9, Lupe Fiasco, Samurai. Number 8, Vince Staples, Dark Times. Number 7, Jason Martin and DJ Quick, Chupacabra. Number 6, Curious, The Magician. Number 5, Blue in Exile, Love, The Ominous World. Number 4, The Dogtown, We All We Got. Number 3, Kendrick Lamar, GNX. Number 2, LL Cool J, The Force. And number 1, Common and Pete Rock, The Auditorium Volume 1.
Good stuff. So I got number 10, Johann Sebastian Baklava, The Doctor by Action Bronson. Number 9, The Force, LL Cool J. Number 8, Still Praying, West Side Gun and DJ Drama. Number 7, Penalty of Leadership, Boldy James, Nicholas Craven. Number 6, Soul Burger by Absol. Number 5, The Brictionary, Boldy James and Harry Fraud. Number 4, Chromacopia by Tyler the Creator. Number 3, Stabbed and Shot 2 by 38 Spesh and Benny the Butcher. Number 2, We Don't Trust You, Metro Boomin and Future. Number 1, GNX by Kendrick Lamar. So, like I said earlier, I thought this was going to be the first time ever we have a unanimous 1-1-1, all the same pick, but I'm wrong. But I think it was a no-brainer to be on everyone's list there. But I like seeing the diversity, honestly. You guys have 4 of the same picks, and I think I only have 2 with you guys, GNX and LL Cool J.
4.
Yeah. But, all right on. Love doing this with you guys. As per usual, I'm going to ask, do you guys have anything you're looking forward to next year? You already talked about Auditorium Volume 2. I want to see if you got something else, Brandon. Or Matt, if you don't have anything like lined up, maybe just say, who would you want to see drop an album? Let's just go around that if you want.
Okay, that's a better question because I haven't been researching too much.
I know, that's why I asked it that way.
I should have prepped for this beforehand, but who would I like to see? Can we circle back to me, please?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I got one if you guys need some time to think there, but we'll have a
You
couple.
can go first.
Okay, so one that's like an immediate is coming out in, at the time of recording, 3 weeks there, but my guy Mac Miller posthumous album dropping in January, which I'm very excited about. Balloonerism is the name of the album. So apparently this is something that was recorded around 2014, so it's quite old. Has leaked online. I've not heard it. I'm looking forward to hearing the mastered versions of these songs. Maybe the beats are a bit different to what's already been you can find online. But I'm really looking forward to this, especially hearing music that done by Mac around this time, where obviously like, he was in a heavy drug usage era in his life. For better or worse, like you could argue that some of his best music was done at that time. Hate to see it because obviously that's what led to his death, but I'm just hoping that good music comes out of it, and I am thankful that his estate is releasing this music, because for me anyways, more Mac Miller I'll obviously take. So yeah, Balloonerism, I think it's dropping like January 17th. Yeah, January 17th, 2025. Yeah. So that's like a highly anticipated 2025 release for me that I know is coming soon.
Yeah, that's great. I find like what the estate's been doing, they've been doing so well with his legacy, and that's a completed album. You know, apparently he felt it was too experimental at the time to drop. So I haven't heard anything. I can't wait. Nice. I can't wait for that one.
I gotta ask, did you purchase the vinyl for this or no?
I'm gonna.
Oh, okay. Because
100%.
It is online. It is online. Like you can get it. But
yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna grab it. I didn't pre-order it yet though, but yeah, no, 100%. Anything Mac Miller has, like I gotta have it. It's incredible art.
Yeah, man.
I'm looking forward to that. I didn't even know that was happening. But we didn't get a Nas album this year, so it'd be cool if we drop one next year. Although we've been spoiled recently. I was just reading Lil Wayne might drop an album, perhaps, but I haven't heard an album of his in so long, so that'd be cool. Maybe another J. Cole album I was seeing. He had one this year too, but no, I don't. Honestly, I'm gonna keep my expectations low and just try to like hit everything that comes out. Yeah. What about you, Brandon?
You both you touched on two of mine. So Nas dropped earlier this year "Define My Name" with DJ Premier, and in that track they both go, "The album's coming." So
okay.
If we finally get a Nas and DJ Premier album, this is my new LL Cool J. Like I need to hear this. We've been waiting since Illmatic for a fully produced Primo album. There's rumors it's going to come out either before year's end or early 2025, but they're working on it, and he keeps saying it in concerts that it's coming. And then my next one, it is Mac Miller, but I'm going with Maclib.
Oh, man.
The Madlib, he has it. you know, the estate is doing such a great job. If they could get Madlib to put it out, like that would be my year. 2025 done. I could have a 2-album list.
Man, I was gonna circle back on Maclib. Like, that's a dream right there. I literally remember being on Twitter when that was announced that they were working on an album together. Like, obviously this was when he was alive, and I was so excited for that. And I'm praying that they eventually finalize that album and release it. It's for sure not gonna be next year though. Like, it's been 5 years. It'll be 5 years between Circles and Balloonerism. I think if they do release Maclib, it'll be a few more years. They know it's stretch it out a little bit, but I can't wait for that album. And if it ever comes out, I hope it does. No, she got me going there with the Maclib, but great picks. I'll throw in a couple more that are like not pipe dreams there, but just like nothing's confirmed, but I'd want to see them drop. 2 artists. One, Dave from the UK, promising up and coming rapper. His last album would have been in 2021. We're All Alone in This Together, which I quite enjoyed. I think I preferred his debut album, Psychodrama, more, but he's such a lyrical force, and we talk about someone who, like Tyler, the Creator, can paint a picture about something he's going through in life or tell someone's story. He's one of the best out there, delivering like heartbreaking songs from Leslie. Man, I haven't listened to the song in so long. Leslie, I think is the name of the song. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Anyways, he's a beast. So hopefully Dave drops an album in 2025. I just have to get the song in the name. Yeah, Leslie. Okay. If you haven't heard that song, it's like a Dance with the Devil type song by Immortal Technique. Not as dark, obviously, but it's a pretty messed up song, but really, really good storytelling on there. And then the next one would be this group who haven't dropped music in like 5 years together. They've done individual albums, but I'd love to see a Flatbush Zombies album. This is a group that I've been a big fan of for a long time. I find they have insane chemistry together. They're trying the solo artist thing out, but it's not as good as when the three of them are on the track together, bouncing off each other and just giving us some insane lyricism. So yeah, Flatbush Zombies, Dave, Maclib. I want it all next year. Yeah, those are my picks.
Awesome. I'm going to throw one last one in. Another Madlib. Madlib, someone needs to take his computer because he has so many albums that is. But Your Old Droogs, I think now as we're going on the 2nd year where their album is supposed to drop. So please, Madlib, open up the vault.
I'm throwing one last. While we're on the Madlib topic here, I want finish out the trilogy. Who you may be surprised or maybe you forgot about him altogether. I want the Freddie Gibbs Madlib 3rd album in the trilogy, Montana. I hope that drops maybe next year. Like, why not? Gibbs used to drop an album every year, and it'll be 5 years in between Bandana and Montana, which has been heavily anticipated for years. So, like, that's the thing. I think Freddie Gibbs, I don't know about you guys, but You Only Die Once, I thought was a pretty good album, but nothing really captivated me and made me need to run it back. I thought it was a kind of like autopilot Gibbs, whereas I find when he's with them Madlib, the vibe is completely different. The beats obviously are second to none, and that's what I want to see from Gibbs on his next album, is either the Madlib collab Montana or link up with Alchemist again and give us Alfredo 2. So that's what I would love to see.
Yeah, I'll take either one.
Yeah. That's it.
I didn't even know any of this was coming out, so that's freaking exciting for me.
Yeah. I'm not even going to say ASAP Rocky. Until that's on my phone, I'm not even anticipating it anymore. It's just brutal. Anyways. Yeah. All right, well.
Video you put out for it, too.
He put out a single recently?
No, well, that video he put out, what was it, I guess a few months ago now? It's an incredible video. I thought for sure that would be the catalyst to jump off to the album, but then it got pushed back again.
I don't even know. I don't trust this guy anymore with what he says and what he drops. Like, I also try as much as possible to steer clear from singles. Like, I like to listen to albums when they drop, start to finish. So
I do agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, no, I didn't get to check that one out, but
Yeah. I think it's Taylor Swift. I think is the name of it. On a visual aspect, it's very creatively done.
Yeah, I mean, he's a super creative. He's a different artist, which again, in mentioning Tyler the Creator with those big three, like A$AP Rocky, I feel like there's a timeline out there in this multiverse where he's up there with them, right? But he just is chosen for, I think, worse, not to release music. I'm a big fan of his music overall. At long last, A$AP is one of my 2015 classics in my books. But anyways. All right, I could do this all night long. Just keep talking about people I want to see drop music. But the surprises, right? Like the LL Cool J's, the Auditoriums, like those are the albums that you don't really, or for me anyways, expect to be on your list, and can be pleasantly surprised when they drop. So good stuff. I mean, yeah, that's all I got. And you guys, anything else you want to go over in the hip hop world, or wrap it up here?
I think
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, Brandon, as per usual, always a blast having you on here. Share your list and insights on the magicians of the world and different albums we may or may not have heard about. So love that. Any final notes for the listeners?
Just always love to be on. It's something I look forward to, and it's something my notes and my phone keep getting updated on. It just makes listening to the albums a lot more fun. And if you're in the Ottawa area, we've got some incredible concerts coming to town. Sky Zoo's coming at Brass Monkey, $25 show, February 22nd. Blue and Exile's coming, another $25 show. So we're getting some good concerts this year.
Hey, Matt, that's a must attend, no?
Yeah, Brandon was mentioning that at work. How can I say no? Yeah, I'll have to really think about it. Like it's like almost practically free, right? $25 with that 2 drinks. Yeah. But Brandon, thank you for coming on the show. You and Brandon and Eric, you guys both, when you guys talk about hip hop with the passion, and like I try to emulate you guys, but like I can't compete with you guys. You guys talk so passionately about this music, and I love listening to both of you talk about hip hop albums. Basically, is what I'm saying, and I had a great time. 90 minutes has never gone by so fast. Like it's super enjoyable just to kick back, like to just sit back and listening to you guys talk. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you,
Brandon.
No, Matt, you're right there with me. Like, Brandon, do you have a count of how many albums you listened to this year? Like, I had 68 this year, which last year I checked before. I had 81 albums of 2023. So if this keeps up, Matt, and you keep being on the rise, like there might be a nexus point where you bypass me in the listening game, but I'm gonna have to bounce back here and make sure that doesn't happen. But Sky Zoo, man, Brandon, like this is like I feel like 2 years in a row, where I say anyways, like I'll be at the same concert as you, or something happens and then it just doesn't work out. But Sky Zoo, I don't know his music as well as you, obviously, there, but I might have to roll up. So where is that exactly? Is that the Brass Monkey you said?
Yeah, Brass Monkey, right off of Greenbank. So
Near IKEA, yeah.
Yeah, right near IKEA. Yeah, just a little further down, closer to Hunt Club, I would think. But yeah, so it's a nice little venue. It's a small, intimate. I think they usually do rock band, so it's a smaller venue, but for the price, like to see someone like him, man.
I feel like I'd be a fish out of water in that crowd. In that, like, if you're a Sky Zoo fan, I'm assuming you know the guy's music, because he's not a household name by any means. I want to say he's more on the somewhat underground scene. So I feel like everyone rolling up there goes word for word. I'm just there like, can you play the Apollo Brown album? But
well, nothing wrong with that. I think most of the crowd would agree with you.
Amazing album. But yeah, no, good stuff. So no, I'll look into that one as well. Blue in Exile, I'll leave that one up to Matt. But yeah, no, good stuff. So yeah, I mean, for me too, I mean, a lot of fun doing this with you guys. Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Matt, closing notes, or we're good?
Just thank you, everybody, for listening, and I hope we're gonna have 2 more shows like this. So I hope you're excited, and I hope you love this episode as much as I did.
Yeah, well said, Matt. So yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. I hope you enjoyed some of the albums we recommended, and yeah, Happy New Year. Yeah, peace.